Texas Fruitarian, and I'm here with Kiana Lagrone.
Yes.
And she's with Gymistry.
Yes.
She's a personal trainer. I ended up meeting her randomly in the gym. It was just by chance. I was working on my own fitness stuff, and I was looking around like really shy and embarrassed. I'm like, I need to ask somebody to please just hold the camera, just film me really quickly, because I wanted to track my progress, and I was trying to also figure out how to build a video about it. But I ended up just, hey, who, you know,
and I was with the client. And
I didn't even see the client. I didn't even see the client that was on the machine.
Him. I was kidding.
I was just like, hey, do you mind holding this for like 3 seconds? And she was like, I'm right in the middle of a set with my client right here. And I was like, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. So, but she kindly filmed me, and then we got to talking afterwards, and I was telling her, oh, well, you know, the reason why I was doing the film in the first place was because I was trying to track my strength progress after coming back from multiple sclerosis and not being able to use my left side, and she was automatically knew that was an autoimmune disease, and she's like, oh my gosh, I've healed from my autoimmune diseases too. And so we had this little story exchange going on in the gym, and it was just a magic moment. And so we had to share this with you.
Like, strong woman, right? Because it's a lot.
Yes. So I want to bring you her story.
Well, I will say this. I love meeting people like you, because it just goes to show there's a very strong community of people who really like to change their life. But part of what I went through, and I'll say part because we go through so much, is years ago I found out that, well, first off, let me admit that I'm a little bit vain. So the reason how I found out was I went to a podiatrist, and I was like, I don't exactly like my feet. I want to get them like beautified. And he was doing his little test, and he said, not that you even need it, but I couldn't do anything if I wanted to. And I was like, what?
What does that mean?
He pulled my foot up, and my toes were like navy, like not light blue, you know, they were like navy blue.
Oh, that's
and I
scary.
was like, oh my God, what happened? He's like, yeah, so this is it. I'm going to go ahead and refer you to a vascular surgeon.
Oh my goodness.
And likely also be seeing a rheumatologist and a hematologist. And I was like,
what's going on?
My heart started beating, and I was like, what? And I just got nervous, but you know, the objective kind of, okay, get it together, you know, said, okay, we need to do X, Y, Z. So I left, and I made appointments right away. One of the first people I saw was a vascular surgeon, and I didn't have symptoms that I knew of. I mean, I had a host of other problems, but not for what he was mentioning. I didn't understand. Mm-hmm. So the thing that they found out, first of all, was that I had an autoimmune disorder called, it's really weird, but Raynaud's phenomenon. And people probably have heard about it.
I think I've heard of that.
You get it when you're stressed or cold, which is really weird because I'm from Nebraska, from the Midwest. That was probably the worst place to have it. And I moved to Texas about 8 years ago. So likely what I'm getting ready to say had been just kind of accumulating because of the environment in which I lived. Mm-hmm. So found out I had Raynaud's phenomenon, and then they did what they call a Doppler on my leg, because he was checking around. He's like, I don't hear a pulse in your lower extremity of your leg. And I was like, you check pulses in your leg? Like, that's whatever. Weird. So they attached me to this machine, and there was absolutely no pulse. It was 100% blocked from around the upper knee level or behind the knee.
Oh my goodness.
That artery had no flow to the lower. So I was asymptomatic, but I had no flow to the lower extremity of my leg.
That's crazy.
So instantly I was on Coumadin, and I was also doing abdominal injections for blood thinners. So I did have like an emergency card in my vehicle that says, oh, this woman will bleed out and die. She's an accident. I was like, yay.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. And it was so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then I had to, of course, see a rheumatologist. So they did some testing, found out that I had a positive ANA, or tested positive, which means I had an autoimmune disorder.
Right.
So they were like, well, you're on the verge of having lupus. You're on the verge of having this. So the next thing I went through, as soon as I got all these diagnoses of the Raynaud's phenomenon. Had an artery in my leg that was blocked. I was getting ready to go on a work outing, and I had been hurting. My body had been like little pains, and then I had this like complete breakout, and it got worse. And I was like, no, I'm gonna go on this outing. I want to have fun. Right when we were about to go, it got so bad. I went to the emergency instead.
Oh no.
And it was like red, like splotches all over. It was welting up, and I was like, I don't know what's wrong. Can you just give me something and I'll meet my people so I can have fun? Having fun was more important. And they said, you have shingles.
Oh my gosh. Like, on top of everything else.
On top of everything else, I had shingles.
Wow.
So all that positive autoimmune.
One leads to another. If you've got one autoimmune disease, it's gonna your likelihood, your risk for other autoimmune diseases, it skyrockets. By the way,
it does, which is it's unfortunate, and it can be overwhelming, as you know. But
especially with that incurable tag on it.
I know, and that does make you feel like there's nothing you can do about it.
Powerless.
Yes, and you feel weak.
Gosh, I know how.
And that shingles at in your 30s, which is what I was like, I feel like I'm 80 years old.
I'm too young to feel this old.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I said that too. Oh.
So I know you.
30 years old is ridiculous to be diagnosed with all these things.
It is. But fast forward, I ended up meeting. I worked for a very large company, and I'm meeting this guy. Someone kind of connected me, and we did a lot of mentoring in our company, coaching, developing, and he became my mentor. And I remember one of the first meetings we had, he was like military, just everything is just so. But he asked me what my goals were. So since he was at my work, I figured the only thing I would list was career goals, right? So I was like, oh, I want to do this. I want to develop in these areas. Here's my challenges. Here's where I feel like I'm strong, that I can develop and become stronger in these areas. And he said, no, I want to know all your goals. So I was like, okay, I want to lose weight. I want to not feel like I'm 80, Then I came back with additional ones, which I was kind of confused. Like, what does this have to do with anything? Well, he was in the military, and he trained. He was a trainer even in the military, right? I think they call them boot camps or whatever they do at 5 a.m. Anyway, he had way more experience than me. But what happened is, not only was he a mentor, but he started training me.
Okay.
And so I started just working out, and one had nothing to do with the other. I had just found out all these things was wrong, and in my past there was multiple other things that I had thought I had overcame, but then things were coming up again. So I was working out. We would work out over lunch, so I was learning to just kind of eat around that time, but make sure that time was devoted. So that cadence, lunchtime, was working out. So we were working on my career, we were working on physical training, we were working on so many different goals.
A whole lifestyle mentor.
Yes, yes, he became a life mentor, right? But what happened was, every month I had to go get a Doppler, and there was no progress.
Ooh.
And I was on Coumadin, and I was giving myself injections. Nothing was progressing. At 3 months, it still wasn't clear. And he was like, you're going to be on Coumadin for the rest of your life. That's what he told me. So I had to go every single month and to the hematologist every couple days, because he had to check your blood, make sure it's not too thin, but make sure it's thin enough for hopefully it's accomplishing the purpose. At 6 months, though, I had already been training now for 6 months.
Okay.
On my 6-month visit, the weirdest thing happened. The nurse or the tech took the machine out, and she checked, and she was like, she had this confused look on her face, like, She was, we always have problems. It's been a long day. And she takes all the attachments off, and she leaves the room, and she has somebody else coming with her, and they're reattaching, and they check me again. And she's like, the machine must be broke. So I'm laying there, I'm like, am I that messed up?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on? And they took the whole machine out, brought a whole new machine in, and checked me again. And they were like, we gotta talk to the doctor. And I was like, okay, talk to the doctor about what? I am freaking out.
Right.
And she says, well, at least you don't have to wait. He'll talk to you. You'll see the doctor next. And I was like, I wanted to cry.
Oh, gosh.
I wanted to cry because I was like, something
don't
else
know.
is wrong. And
Yeah.
so I asked them, so well, tell me what's going on. And they couldn't, you know, like, we can't tell you.
Yeah,
We can't tell.
they're not legally allowed to tell you anything or even hint whether it's a good or a bad thing. And it's like, just give me anything. Is this a good thing? Or...
Give me a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I gonna die today? I mean,
that's how you feel,
right?
It's so overwhelming. You go through so much. Like, just rip the Band-Aid off. That's what I felt.
Just give me the truth.
But I was near tears.
Oh no.
Because their reaction wasn't great to me, and they looked confused.
Right.
Well, I think it was like 15-20 minutes before I saw the doctor.
Yeah, that is so not helpful.
Which
by the
felt
way,
like 2
healthcare
days.
Employees.
Something's wrong with you, but we can't tell you.
Right. That's so
That's how
not
I felt.
helpful.
You're gonna die in the next 10 minutes.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
So I was waiting for the doctor, and he comes in, and he's quiet, flipping paper, and he's like, and I was like, okay, what's wrong? And he goes, we thought it was a machine, but he goes, what have you been doing different? What have you been doing? And I was like, I thought I was in trouble. I was like, well, I've been eating better, I promise. And I said, I'm working out, I'm training, I have a trainer, he's really helping me. And he was like, okay, because it's cleared.
Oh my gosh, like 100%?
Like, there was no blockage.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and it's like, I didn't even, for a minute, it sounded like a cartoon character, like, wah, wah, like I didn't hear him. Like, I was like,
yeah, it takes a moment to process.
yes.
Like, what are you telling me?
Like, what did you say? He's like, it's clear. Like, there's no blockage. I was so flippin' excited. And he was like, so I told him what I've been doing, and he goes, well, you don't need to take the injections anymore abdominally, but we're going to keep you on the Coumadin. And I was like, you know, after I got my mind together, I was like, I don't want to be on Coumadin.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, why not? I was like, because I have to keep an emergency card in my vehicle that says, and I can bleed out. I can't, I'm nervous cooking, I'm nervous driving.
Right. A scrape could be
Yes.
like an emergency room visit.
Exactly. So I was honest with him about how I felt. And he goes, well, okay, just take aspirin 325. And I was like, okay. He goes, but you have to keep doing what you're doing. So
it has to be a lifestyle.
How I ate had been drastically different. I went from processed food, talked about that, to more eating fresh, organic foods. I've also suffered from endometriosis, which I hadn't even put 2 and 2 together. I had not been in pain for almost 6 months. Why? Because the weight training part increased my testosterone, and endometriosis is the overgrowth of estrogen. That balanced out my hormones. I've had 2 endometriosis surgeries, and I have went through 2 hormone therapies that put me in early menopause.
Oh my goodness.
And training and eating right
reversed it.
Yeah. I wasn't having the symptoms. I was paying $400 out of pocket for 2 months for pain management.
And knowing what you know now, I mean, that's like practically a scam.
Right?
I mean,
because, you know, insurance, it was like $800, and then it was like they were only paying about 50% of it. And the pills were only 7 days, which was during a typical women's cycle.
Right.
So all the rest of the month I was still hurting.
Oh, gosh.
It had mitigated, it cleared the blockage. It was mitigating the endometriosis pain. I had higher energy levels, all of that.
That is so wonderful. You were taking your life back.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And it spurred passions to create.
To what you're doing now.
Yes, to create chemistry.
Cool. Well, so that was your motivation.
Yep.
And now, what is chemistry, and what are the goals?
So, the person I met years ago that had all that wealth of knowledge, I continue to learn from him, right? And I love to learn. Input's like one of my strengths. And it developed into us being really close friends, into a few months ago being really good friends.
Oh.
Creating a chemistry in the gym, and a lifestyle from that. When you get to live that way with someone that has the same drive and understands how important health is, how important fitness is, and can put that into action, you really get to draw to that person. So together, him and I started Gymistry, and Gymistry is really us teaching other people how to create that lifestyle.
Oh my goodness.
And connecting, whether it's mother and daughter, or husband and wife, or partners, siblings. How do you do that lifestyle together, and then how do you maintain it?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're gonna do something for a month and eat healthy to try to feel better and then go back to it, that's not creating a lifestyle. Matter of fact, you're creating more pressure and strain on the body by going back and forth.
Oh yeah.
Than sticking with one or the other. So we really encourage people to create a healthy and fit lifestyle. Live
Mm-hmm.
that way, and find your family or close friends or who you create as family to live that lifestyle with you.
Chosen family even.
Yes.
Or even coworkers or friends.
Yes.
But so I really like the idea that it's focused on a partnership of some kind.
Yes.
So it's like a buddy system.
Yeah. It creates accountability.
Accountability. Like you've got someone to make sure you get out of bed and do what you need to do.
Yeah. And then
That's
again,
so
the
great.
lifestyle, right? So
Oh,
if you're
gosh,
doing
yeah.
something, have you ever been like, or people do this all the time, they're on a diet,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh, my husband eats like this, or my mom eats like this, right?
Yeah.
But if you're doing it together, you have one common goal.
Oh yes.
And then it's so much easier
so
to
much
do it
easier
together.
when there's not like that tension and
Yes. Or you're making me. Then you start blaming people. You made me fail because you want to eat steak and potatoes
Right.
and macaroni and cheese, and you know I can't eat that.
oh we get that we get that all the time in the Raw group, in the Raw Challenge group that I've got on Facebook. We've like my husband, he keeps bringing home this cooked food and it makes me eat it, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he put that in your mouth, huh?
Yeah, he forced you.
Well,
Put it back to my
it just
head.
smells so good, and he knows that's my favorite, and it's like this. It's almost like this unconscious sabotage.
Yes.
It's like they're not intending to cause you to fail,
Right.
and it can be like completely, and maybe for whatever reason it is intentional. You know,
They want you to come back to the
make
dark
me
side.
feel better about my choices.
Yes.
So sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes it's just like, you know, this is just my routine and I'm comfortable with it, and it can be very difficult
And
when
same
one
thing.
person's trying to change and the other isn't.
Same thing for fitness. When you have
Yes.
someone that you know is committed to going to work out, whether it's in the gym or a park, or
You look forward to seeing them.
yes, you look forward to seeing them. You can do it together, and if you're doing a lot of weights like we do, you suffer. You're a little sore together. You're like, did you take this, or did you do your soak, or you know,
Yeah.
we're doing the opposite part of the body the next day, and it's motivating. It's inspiring. It's collective. It is love and fitness. It is Gymistry, and you develop
That is
that
so beautiful.
Gymistry.
That's so beautiful, y'all. And you're in the Austin area?
Yes, we're in the Austin area. We're remote, so again, we teach people again how to live healthy. Everything from the grocery store to the kitchen to the gym.
Oh, that is perfect. Do you even go to the grocery
Holistic.
store with people?
Yes,
Oh, that is so great.
because we live lifestyle. There was a study done that convenience stores are making more money than your Whole Foods or your natural grocers. Why?
Oh my goodness.
Because people live out of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
So
Fast food nation,
yes,
right?
Yes. But even the convenience stores, their markup on, say, an apple or a banana
It's ridiculous.
or ice cream is ridiculous. We think Whole Foods is expensive.
Right.
You don't realize how bad you're eating at a convenience store and how much you're paying for that.
Oh yeah. I've done emergency gas station fruit before when I'm traveling and on the
It's not
road.
that good.
And I'm like, you want me to pay $1.25 for an underripe banana?
That's 19 cents at the store.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? And I can't even eat it for like 4 days, but
I know, right? I'm just going to sit there and let it ripen.
I just put it on the dashboard.
People are spending that kind of money in a convenience store, but then they'll say, oh, Whole Foods is expensive.
Get a whole bunch of bananas for
Yes.
$1.
So we want to teach you, whether it's Whole Foods or HEB or Randall's, we want to teach you, it's like you have to go back old school
Yeah.
to be healthy.
Oh yeah.
People don't cook anymore.
Yeah.
So whether it's cooking or your organics or raw,
Mhm.
people they're not used to preparing. Everything needs to come at the snap of a finger.
As soon as I think about it, I'm driving through and somebody's handing it to me.
Yes.
And I don't have to actually seek it out or think about, oh, well, you know, what's this deal, or how can I make this meal even more healthy for myself, or Yeah, any of it.
But we're paying for that. We're
Yeah,
paying for that
and
with
we're
our
paying.
bodies.
We're not only
Our
paying.
bodies is
Yeah,
paying for it.
we're paying the cost to our health.
Yes.
It's also way more expensive than preparing your own.
Yes.
And it just seems to make a lot of sense. I mean, yeah, it's a little extra thought at first and effort, but isn't that worth it?
Yeah.
I mean,
and there's ways to prepare, and that's another thing we teach.
Food
How
prep.
do we make food prep easy,
Yeah.
efficient, and make it convenient but healthy?
Yeah, accessible too.
Yes, and really, if you do that, you're actually paying less money because with healthcare, let's just admit, if I was paying $800 or even half of that at $400, if I could mitigate that, people don't want to pay to prepare good, nutritious food, but they're paying more to mitigate
the damage. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's more cost effective in the long run. Plus, you feel better.
Yes.
Plus, it's quality of life.
Yes.
So that is so great what you do. I'm so glad you came and shared this story with us. Are there any other tips or tricks you have for beginners who are maybe trying to find you or seek you out or get started?
Well, I would definitely say follow us. We definitely give away free information. Again, our passion is to help people, right?
Oh, yes.
Bridge love and fitness together. So you can find My Gymistry. It's at My Gymistry on Instagram, Twitter, also on YouTube. And we do some food prep as well on YouTube, some fun stuff just to get to know us. Because love and fitness is part of it, we also want people to get to know us. So we might act a little bit goofy.
Right.
And
That's,
you get to know us on
authenticity,
YouTube.
right?
And then show a little bit of exercises that we do. But again,
yeah, I've been
follow us.
I've been following her on Instagram, and she does share lots of tips and tricks about all kinds of things, and I'm learning from her too.
Well, we're learning from each other.
Yeah, we are learning from each other here.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Like the watermelon thing, because I was like, stop that for a minute. I was like, I'm going to make one of these.
Yes.
I'm going to make it this weekend, seriously.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm totally into watermelons right now.
Summer, great.
Summer, yeah, 'tis the season. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope everybody goes and follows her.
Yes.
And
we have a website also too, which is mygymistry.info. So you can also go there to book appointments.
Great, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll put the links in the description of the video for your convenience. And perhaps we'll have to have you back sometime and get an update on things.
Yes,
so.
that sounds great.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Bye.